engagements and weddings. They say it is haram to marry your cousin. False. Once engaged, it's halal to touch between man and woman. False. Engagement means that you're still strangers to each other. The engagement period is the period of time that Islam allows you to meet, talk, ask those 12 questions that I told you about. Engagement period is when it's a promise for marriage. It means that you get to see her, to know her, to talk to her. She talks to you. Best off within supervision. Best is at her house. If not, you can do it in public. It's better to have a chaperone. If you can't do that, some people have converted to Islam. They don't have any family members, but it's okay. Even a non-Muslim brother, non-Muslim cousin, non-Muslim father can be along with them. If you have absolutely nobody else, you can be in a public place. So long as you are safe from any fitna between each other and you talk what is necessary. Can you talk on the phone? Yes. Can you text each other? Yes. Can you talk on social media? Yes. There's no haram to it, brothers and sisters. I don't want anybody to come up and say, no, and try to be a super Muslim. It is not haram so long as you stick within the boundaries of respect and halal. And I advise everyone to let your parents know within your ability, especially if you are very young, you're 18, 19, 20, 25, and you haven't had experience in relationships or marriage before. As for older people, it's a bit more flexible because they do know about relationships better. They can control themselves better. Anyway, let's move on. It says here that here's something about weddings and engagement I discovered. There's this custom, they say, I know it's in the Arab tradition, at least Lebanese, that the bride, and only the bride, must wear the scarf and only in front of the imam. So when I go there, I'm doing the marriage, you can see, there are other sisters, they might not have the hijab on, right? And the sister, maybe the bride, maybe doesn't wear the hijab, so she comes up and puts the scarf on, but only in front of me. Now, I appreciate that because out of respect for me, I really like it. But to believe that this is an Islamic tradition, that you're supposed to wear the scarf in front of the imam, is not something of Islam. Should be wearing the hijab, inshallah, all the time. It says here that if you do not recite the Fatiha for an engagement, the engagement is incomplete. I don't know about your culture and my custom. When you go and get engaged and you ask for the girl, you say, we want to get to know each other. And they say, okay, very good, yalla, let's now recite the Fatiha. And if you don't recite the Fatiha, they feel like the engagement hasn't gone through. There's nothing in the Sunnah that you must recite the Fatiha. And it says here, they say, engagement and wedding rings, a mahbas, in Arabic it's called a mahbas, it means you're imprisoned. Mahbas, called a mahbas, which means you're imprisoned. Can you believe that? Wow. And they say it is part of Islam. No, the wedding ring is not part of Islam, nor is the engagement. I mean, if you want to put it on, that's fine, but don't make a belief in it. The wife must change her surname. This is a myth. This is not taken from Islam. In fact, in Islam, a wife should be called by her father's name, and that is her identity. A divorce can only be done by the husband, but haram if the wife does it. That's wrong. A wife should not tell her husband to divorce her, but she has a right to something called khula, which is a different process of divorce. That's what I think the misunderstanding, when people say, any woman who asks her husband for divorce, the angels curse her. I don't know what, they bring up all this stuff, right? Yes, it is true, it is not. It's Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told the women not to ask their husbands for divorce. That's to ask the husband to divorce them. But for a wife, if she's not happy in the marriage and there is, it's gotten toxic and she wants out because she can't fulfill her duties anymore, she can go for something called khula, which is a different type of divorce with different conditions. There is always a way out if things get really nasty. So that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. Also, it says here, the father can refuse even under unreasonable circumstances to marry his daughter off. This is also false. Unreasonable circumstances, the next wali is her grandfather. After her grandfather comes her son, if she has a son. If her son is not there, it's her brother. If it's not her brother, then it's her uncle. If it's not her uncle, then it's another member related to her father. And if nobody wants to do it, then the imam becomes her wali. Or she can choose one. So there's always, inshallah, halal, we make it easy so the haram can become difficult. It also here says, the son must get his parents' approval. In Islam, the son does not need his parents' approval for marriage. Of course, it's better to have their blessings and be around. And parents should not make it difficult. If his mother asks him to live with her, he must. Otherwise, he is sinful. Wrong. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says be good to your parents, He didn't say obey them in everything. He said don't obey anybody if it means disobedience to Allah. And it's haram for parents to oppress their children and tell them, I will use the verse again. It's like some of them don't know any other verse. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Your Lord has told you not to worship other than Him and to be good to your parents. Some people change the word to be good to them to and obey. Yes, obey, but not in the things that they have no right to be obeyed in. Your wife, for example, has a right. Your children have a right. Put everyone in their right places.